Welcome to the Intrazone Roadmap Pitstop March 2019 edition. This is a bonus monthly show that answers that burning question in your mind. What's rolling out now for SharePoint and related Office 365 technologies? These roadmap episodes are the answer. This month, I talk with Rachel Lambert, Program Manager on the SharePoint engineering team, about all things page templates. Consider this the message center for everyone, not just for cloud admins. We'll keep you informed, current, and ahead of the ever-curving Microsoft 365 roadmap. We've got a lot of items to cover. The engines are hot. Let's drop the flag and off we go. We've got a couple of segments to get through. By the end of it, you'll be fully up to speed with everything that's launched and loaded into Office 365 for March 2019. First up, employee engagement. One of the biggest things that we released really has a category of its own, and I've broken it out into a couple of parts that shipped in March. The category is Organization News, and this is in parallel to what we've already offered around SharePoint Team News. So for Organization News, one of the first things that we've shipped in March was the ability to now be able to order or pin specific items that you want people to see. So not just to have them flow chronologically or via the Microsoft graph, but now you can curate the experience when somebody comes to your page within the news web part. Even if you have multiple news web parts, you can actually ensure that they see a particular news article or a couple in a row and then let it flow chronologically or based on who they are and who they work with, which is that intelligence of the Microsoft graph. So you should be able to now enjoy organizing your news in a custom order. The next thing you can do is whether you have a specific site or a specific set of people that you want to have represent authoritative news for everybody in your company, we now have the ability for Office 365 admins at the SharePoint admin level to actually deem a site authoritative news. And you can do this for one site or you can do it for multiple sites. And that makes it so that posts from these sites are interleaved throughout all news posts that are displayed to the user on the SharePoint home in Office 365 or aggregated for them via the SharePoint mobile app in the News tab. These are distinguished with a color block on the title that gives them a little visual cue. And certainly admins can manage the news sources using a PowerShell command. And just to give you a sense, that commandlet for those SharePoint admins is set-spo org news site. So choose your site or sites that you want authoritative news to come from, and that will flow out to more than just the individuals that participate in that site. Next is a really interesting one in terms of when you go to share documents and information, but primarily around documents, you can now share and co-author documents with LinkedIn connections. We're rolling this out as a new feature for OneDrive, SharePoint. You'd also see it in Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. And of course, it's powered by LinkedIn to enhance the way users connect and collaborate with people outside their organization. This is one of the new experiences powered by LinkedIn that enhances collaboration to help build relationships and, of course, provide those contextual insights to those people that you're connected with. For both administrators and end users, you have the control over this experience. There is a way for admins certainly to enable this or disable it. And for end users who want to participate, they can opt in by securely connecting with their LinkedIn and Microsoft accounts. It's also a pretty common thing if you think around just discovering more information about a person. There's now an aspect of a LinkedIn profile information that's within the people card experience. So this is really extending our connection to how you work with people via your LinkedIn connections. The next employee engagement feature that I want to highlight is actually one that we're going to find out a lot about from our program manager who is in charge of rolling this out from the engineering team. This is all about page templates. This is a way where you can certainly enhance the way that other people can take value on news and pages that you've created by being able to use the template that you've put in place, or for other people to be able to create their own templates and share with other people. So before I go in too deep about it, we're going to hear from Rachel Lambert, Program Manager on the SharePoint engineering team, to hear what she has to say about page templates. All right, we are here in Building 34 with Rachel Lambert. You're a Program Manager, and I'm not going to say anything about the gray hair on my head, but you're pretty new to Microsoft. What was your journey to get here on the SharePoint team? What's maybe the last couple of years looked like?
So my first exposure to the SharePoint team was about 2 years ago. I interned with the team as an Explorer intern. Explorer interns are younger interns, usually in their freshman or sophomore year of university. They partner us up with a couple other interns and really want to give us the whole engineering experience. So you start off doing about 4 weeks of PM work, and then you do 8 weeks of dev work, building out the thing you spec. So that was the first exposure I'd ever had to the PM role, and I found it super interesting. So I decided to come back for a second internship as a full-time PM intern. And then from there, I joined the team as a full-time PM about 6 months ago.
So that they said yes to your second request, that's a very good sign.
Yeah.
And that obviously you're working now on features that are going into production. What was something that you worked on when you were as an intern? What were some of the things that you were first in charge of or helping with?
So last summer as an intern, I worked a lot on external image sourcing for SharePoint. So right now, if you go in and add an image to your web part, you have the opportunity to search the web for your image. That was my intern project.
Very nice.
Which was a really great exposure to Microsoft as a whole, because I got to work with the legal team as well as the folks on UI.
So I can say Creative Commons and you know what that means.
Yes. Spent a lot of time.
That's great. It makes for a nice blend for the latest innovation in that space, where here are all your approved stock photography, the asset library.
Yes.
And then there's the World Wide Web. The world is your oyster, and tons of folks out there. I didn't know that. That's very cool. So as you start to now take over page templates, there were people working on it before you caught this feature, right? And so they might have been looking at what's the strategy and the planning of page templates, which are pretty straightforward. We've got templates, and all across SharePoint. What I'm interested to know is people are starting to then use this in targeted release and then full production. What does that last mile look like to get page templates ready for the world?
So a couple of things we've been testing is how users are using page templates. Up until now, they've kind of been an internal team thing, and we know how SharePoint people use templates, but we also know that people who built SharePoint use SharePoint differently than the rest of the world. So we've done a lot with our user research department, pulling in people who are either super SharePoint users and more new to see, do templates make their lives easier? Is it something they think they would actually use? We've been deciding which out-of-the-box templates to ship. We're going out with 3, one of which is blank. And in our decision process for those, we had originally, our design team built about 21 of them, and we just showed them to a bunch of users, and we really wanted to optimize for templates that we think would be the most useful, that would save people the most time, and they would actually use them. And then we've also gotten a lot of user feedback that they want examples of what beautiful SharePoint pages look like. So we also wanted to use them to kind of showcase some of our prettier SharePoint designs.
Cool. I can actually imagine, based on what you just said, that maybe some of those will make it into the lookbook. Yes. You know, we've got the SharePoint lookbook, and you say people want to know, how can I make SharePoint look beautiful? And I think these days it just is beautiful. And if the page templates not only save people time, but also make them look good with their information and how they present it, that's very much the upside of page templates.
Yeah.
So just describe how somebody uses the feature. They are on a SharePoint site, and just walk me through how somebody would either create a page template and then use it, or use one that's already available to them.
Page templates are part of the normal page lifecycle now. Whenever you go to create a new page or new news, you would get into your page template picker. And so you'll see the 3 that I'm talking about are 3 Microsoft, as well as any templates that someone on your site has created and saved. And you can kind of look through, see what you want, and create a page from there. And once you choose one of the templates, you can really change anything about it. It's just a starting point. If you really wanted to, you could delete everything and make your own blank. And then once you've created your page, you just save it as normal. And then you also have the option, if you create a page and you think oh man, this is a fantastic page, I think this is how every news post should be formatted. I really want to share this out with my team because it would be helpful. You can either save your page as a template from the command bar, or when you can promote your page and save it as a template. And then the next time someone opens the picker, it should be right there. So
we're not talking about opening up some other designer program to create the template, to then export it as a template, and then make some weird choices as somebody who sort of is a power user. You're actually just describing, I've published news, or somebody else has published news, and I really like the way that they've done their sections, the layouts of columns, the choices of web parts, maybe even some of the images like you originally enabled. When you think of already the feedback you've gotten internally, and now that we've started to turn it on with targeted release customers, This question is a little bit future looking, but it's also just more in this point in time. What are some of the things that, as people are starting to use it for the first time out in the wild, you're getting this real-time feedback, or you're getting probably a lot more feedback than you were getting before? What are people liking? What are people hoping we do next?
I think a lot of what people like is like the ones that they create for themselves. Like, oh yes, this is mine. Like, this is something I know I want to use. And kind of within that vein, one piece of feedback that we've gotten a lot is people want a way to sort their templates. Right now, we just have ours and then yours. And it would be great, and they're default in alphabetical, but it would be great if you could like go through and be like, oh, I want to sort by most recent. I want to sort by most frequently used on my site. I want to like hide your Microsoft templates and want only my site templates at the top.
Do you envision ever that there's like a templates gallery? And I'm sort of asking based on what you originally did as an intern. There, of course, are kind of Creative Commons photos. And if, let's say, in a perfect world, in GitHub or something that's more meant for everyone, would you ever envision somebody being able to publish a template, not just for their company, but for everybody in Office 365?
Yeah, that would be a great use of templates. Right now, they are kind of limited to the site, which is a limitation that we've realized, but like something like that would be great. Or if you could have templates on your hub site that would be passed down to all the child sites is something we've looked into as well.
Oh, that's great. I didn't think about that one. And hub sites, certainly with everything being associated under the same umbrella, same with how people ask about their term store, can they share it across sites? I can see sharing templates would be very important, not only to save everybody time, but to keep things consistent too. So I know the SharePoint conference is around the corner. I can't ask you to break any news, but in that time frame, your team is probably working on anything or lots exciting.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Page templates will be out in the wild code by then. But hopefully we'll have gathered enough data to start working on some of the things that users have brought to our attention that they want to see improved on templates.
Awesome. Well, I know this particular feature has been kind of coming after site designs or site templates and what people can do when they create a site to do that in a repeated fashion.
Yeah.
And as you get down to the user level or people who are doing sort of the creative of content, you're going to get a lot of people seeing benefits from being able to do it faster, in a similar fashion if they want to have news that looks the same across their org, but also to be able to save and share so that other people can benefit off of that. I know at Microsoft they always ask us, what do you do for yourself, what do you do for others, and how do you pull from other people in a positive way? How do you reuse content? And I think Page Templates fits right into the reuse category. Thank you for your time, and more importantly, thank you for your work that you do on Page Templates.
Yeah, thanks for letting me talk about it.
Absolutely. Here we go. Next stop on the Pitstop is all about teamwork. What are we doing to enhance teamwork in Microsoft 365 specific to SharePoint, OneDrive, and related technologies? First thing I want to convey to you is that we've got an updated sharing page for the SharePoint Admin Center in Office 365. We've been updating this Admin Center for a period of time now, and want to make sure that that consistent sharing experience that you would get across SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams, and Outlook is actually something we bake in for admins to be able to make a centralized decision on how you share, and then have that be applicable to those different endpoints where you will be sharing in a consistent way, but where you share from. So as part of these efforts, we are updating the SharePoint Admin Center, announcing that the sharing page is actually now available. This page has been redesigned from the ground up to be easier to use and understand, and we've made some fantastic performance improvements as well. So when you go to the Admin Center, you'll be able to get your work done, create the policies, and adhere to how you want to share, and certainly we'll continue to improve this page as we introduce additional settings. But think in terms of now a common place to go to program how sharing works at your company, and then rolls out to those endpoints when people actually start to share, internally or externally. The next item is there is a new Yammer tab in Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams users will now have the ability to add a Yammer tab to their Teams channel that loads a specific group or topic feed from Yammer. This new feature will allow members to follow and share conversations in Yammer without having to leave Teams. Your team members can participate in Yammer conversations right from Teams or discuss a Yammer conversation in Teams through the private chat mechanism that Teams offers. When a team member goes to the Yammer tab, they are authenticated again by Yammer, so they only see Yammer content that they have access to. Have your private discussion about how you then want to post publicly into the Yammer group, and you do that all from the same user interface, Microsoft Teams. I also want to call out, while we're talking about Yammer, that if you haven't gone to the Yammer community blog recently, they've been publishing a lot of best practices blogs from experts around the world in and beyond Microsoft. It's a great community, and the recent flow of blogs helps look at Yammer from an adoption and a use perspective across a lot of great scenarios. So definitely go check out the Yammer community blog. I'll put a link into the show notes, and you'll get a sense of how people are using and benefiting from Yammer. And of course, they will further benefit now with Yammer inside of Microsoft Teams. Let's move to another Office 365 application, Planner. There's two items that I want to call out that are new for Planner that are very beneficial to how you would leverage Planner in the context of teamwork and, of course, right alongside SharePoint. First is now you can copy a plan. With this feature, you can now create a new plan by duplicating an existing one. From the Planner Hub, simply select Copy Plan under the ... menu, and the plan that you want to copy. You can also copy a plan from the ... menu again when looking at a specific plan. So no matter where you see a plan or if somebody's sent you one and you think that would make a really nice template to create a new plan, you can do that with the new Copy a Plan feature. The next Planner feature is important if you're in one of our sovereign data centers, specifically for the government offerings. Planner now is in Microsoft Teams for Microsoft 365 GCC plans. We're happy to announce that all the Planner capabilities are now integrated into Microsoft Teams, and that's now available for Microsoft 365 government GCC plans. This will also be coming to the GCC High and G4 plans in the coming months. A lot of great things that you can do with Planner, a lot of great things that you can then bring that in either on a SharePoint page or as a standalone offering as a tab in Teams, and it's a really great Better Together story to work on your task in that context of the hub for teamwork. The last item in Teamwork is sticky headers for lists and libraries. So if your lists and libraries are getting extremely large, even up to 30 million items in a single list, now you'll be able to scroll down through these large lists, but SharePoint will keep that column header and all headers of each column pinned at the top as you scroll. This helps you identify list values as you move through vertically or horizontally through the view. Column headers will remain in place inside the list or library web parts as well. So no matter where you are in your list, you'll be able to see the actual column header and information, and of course be able to pivot and filter and view to your heart's content no matter where you are in the list or library. So that ends what we wanted to share in March 2019 for Teamwork. Next up, related technologies. We've got a couple laps left for this roadmap pit stop. This next lap is all about related technologies. And I've got 3 items that are pretty much in themselves big features that have rolled out to Microsoft 365. And I want to put them all in context with the SharePoint relationship and how it makes them a better together offering. The first one is I wanted to make sure that you had heard about the general availability of Microsoft 365 Live Events. This was announced as part of the Microsoft Teams offering turning 2, so we can sing a quick happy birthday to Teams, happy birthday to Teams. They've turned 2, and they unloaded a slew of new innovation, including one, like I mentioned, that's close to our SharePoint hearts. This combines the best of Microsoft Teams, Stream, and Yammer for broad all-hands meetings across the organization. These are easy to schedule, produce, and attend via Teams or simply via web browser. And it combines video, audio, desktop sharing, question and answer capabilities with great moderation tools to produce a great broadcast meeting. And where this comes into relation to SharePoint certainly is once you've done one or many meetings, you can start to build out a comms portal. It could be an executive comms. It could be a communication of events or programs, ways to find out everything that's happening in the company. And you could build out a nice comm site or comm portal and start to put these in as embedded offerings on demand, have that be a rich SharePoint page or SharePoint site offering. And then people can take those assets, whether it's just the video itself, the pages, or even the full site and embed them wherever they need to as a tab in Teams or as just a simple something as a link in an email, a way to communicate, especially on the day of. That's the job of the live events. When it comes to on-demand, it's really all about putting it into right context. Quick note, too, is we did a special podcast with Christina Torek, Senior Product Manager, and Amit Rajput, Senior Program Manager, who are our experts on live events, and we'll put a link into our show notes for that specific episode going live in 3, 2, 1. Next up is Windows Virtual Desktop is now in public preview. This is a service that delivers simplified management, a multi-session Windows 10 experience that's optimized for Office 365 Pro Plus and support for Windows Server remote desktop services for desktops and apps. With Windows Virtual Desktop, you can deploy and scale your Windows desktops and apps on Azure in minutes and, of course, enjoy built-in security. So you might be asking yourself, why is this of interest to the Intrazone Roadmap Pitstop? It is a solution to extend the Windows Virtual Desktop based on an acquisition that we made for FS Logix, which is a next-generation app provisioning platform that reduces the resources, time, and labor required to support desktop and app virtualization. And this specifically will help with load times for non-persistent users who access Outlook or OneDrive. So think about using OneDrive in a virtual environment, leveraging FS Logix, and of course a lot of the smarts behind when you're using a Windows Virtual Desktop. You can expect a lot more announcements in this space, and we're just very pleased to be a part of the public preview for people to start getting used to what is it like to use OneDrive, which of course helps you sync SharePoint, Teams, and OneDrive files into that virtual environment. There's also a great new mechanics video that we'll point you to if you want to learn more. The final related technology is the new Microsoft 365 Admin Center. We talked about one feature coming to the SharePoint Admin Center, but at the broader level, at the Microsoft 365 admin layer, there are new levels of efficiency and insight that are customizable to the unique needs of each role, team, and organization. And I'm really wanting to highlight that this also includes a way to empower teamwork governance with new Office 365 Groups management. Office 365 Groups power the modern workplace as a centrally managed and governed membership service that enables users to work collaboratively with tools like Teams, Outlook, and SharePoint. Office 365 Groups is managed in the Groups section of the Admin Center alongside security groups to control access. The distribution lists and everything that those are then used for to manage and control access to the various applications that leverage Office 365 Groups. We've redesigned the workflow to make it easier to see all of your organization groups in one place, to check the status of important settings like privacy, and of course to take quick actions like managing membership and ownership. It's now done in a more centralized location, and of course it really plays out to when you want to put your full governance plan in place. It's a lot easier to do from a teamwork perspective. Next up is all about teasing you. What is coming next in April 2019? Like a whisper in your ear, this next section is all about getting you interested on what's coming next so that you can not only be informed, but we hope be excited. Teaser thing number 1 is really not just for developers as it was previously. So this might sound similar to something that we talked about on a previous roadmap. This is actually now starting to land for end users. And I'm talking about connected web parts for SharePoint. We're releasing 3 new connected web parts for SharePoint Online that allow you to display data from lists and library web parts. With the list properties, file viewer, and embed web parts, you can now connect to a data source and interact with lists and libraries in new ways. So developers have been able to do this for a little bit with their own components. Now we're giving the power to the user. More to come next month. Thing number 2, teaser. Are you ready for this last whisper? News audience targeting is coming soon. I think this will really round out what it is that when people think of this new organization news offering that is coming through Microsoft 365 on the backbone of SharePoint, now you'll be able to more control who can see the different news articles that you're publishing. So a lot more to come, but think in terms of if I want to target a specific role or a region, I'll be able to target them specific to the news articles that they see and receive. So that's it with the teasers. We're close to the end of the pit stop. Let's apply the brakes a little and cover the important resources that are there for you all year round. Resources, resources, resources. We certainly want to make sure that you have visibility into all the things that are rolling out now and certainly visibility in what's to come. And with that, we want to make sure that you have a good list of resources to turn to throughout the year. We'll put a bunch of important links in the show notes. These will take you to learn more about the Message Center, the Microsoft 365 public roadmap, our own SharePoint and OneDrive community blogs, and of course, all things Twitter. All the places you can go to get up to speed and stay ahead. We hope you've enjoyed the nice, smooth, and speedy ride around this March 2019 pit stop. Thank you for enduring all those tight turns and burns of rubber. We hope you stay engaged, ask questions, push us to get the best information and insights that you need. We're here to put both our and your best change management foot forward. Stay safe out there on the roadmap. Till next month, thanks for listening.